I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. That man is not a conspiracy theorist. He's not a YouTuber. He's a decorated U.S. Air Force veteran and former intelligence official. And he just said that under oath to Congress, on camera, in 2023. So why does it feel like nobody saw it? More importantly, what happened after he said it? That's what this video is about. By the end, you'll understand why the Pentagon's response is more disturbing than the testimony itself. Before we go further, you need to understand who David Grusch actually is, because his credibility is the entire argument. Grusch served 14 years in the U.S. Air Force as an intelligence officer. He worked at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the National Reconnaissance Office, two of the most secretive agencies in the U.S. government. He was also the co-lead of UAP analysis at the AARO until 2023. This is not someone who stumbled onto a Reddit thread. In June 2023, he filed a formal whistleblower complaint with the Intelligence Community Inspector General, which, and this is important, was found to be credible and urgent. Those are the Inspector General's own words, not mine. Then he went to Congress. He told the House Oversight Committee under oath, with full legal consequences for lying, that the United States government has been running a secret program to retrieve and reverse engineer craft of non-human origin. He said he was denied access to these programs when he tried to investigate them through official channel. And he said people connected to these programs had been physically threatened to stay silent, again, under oath. To Congress, on camera. Now here's where it gets interesting. You'd think a statement like that would break the internet, and for about 48 hours it kind of did. But then something very predictable happened. The Pentagon released a statement. They said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that they had found no verifiable evidence to support Grusch's claims. Clean, simple, dismissive. But here's what they didn't say. They didn't say he was lying. They didn't charge him with anything. They didn't discredit his service record. They didn't produce a counter-witness. They simply said they found no evidence. For a government that classifies the cafeteria menu at certain facilities, the absence of evidence means almost nothing. And then, quietly, Congress pushed back. Senator Marco Rubio, not exactly a fringe figure, publicly stated that multiple high-ranking officials had come to him with similar claims. He said these weren't low-level employees. He said they were, quote, very credible people with high clearances. Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader at the time, co-sponsored the UAP Disclosure Act of 2024, a bill designed to force the government to declassify UAP-related documents. It passed initial votes, and then, at the last minute, the most critical provisions were stripped out before final passage. Someone got to it. The question is, who? In March 2024, the Pentagon's own UAP office, called AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, released what they called a comprehensive historical review of UAP programs going back decades. Their conclusion: no evidence of extraterrestrial craft, no secret reverse engineering programs, case closed. Except it wasn't. Researchers and former intelligence officials who reviewed the AARO report, including some who had cooperated with Congress, said the report ignored key witnesses, that it cherry-picked data, that it didn't account for programs compartmentalized above AARO's own clearance level. Think about that for a second. The office created to investigate UAPs may not have had clearance to access the most sensitive UAP information. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's how classification works in the U.S. government. Programs exist in compartments. AARO could only investigate what it was allowed to see. Grusch himself pointed this out. His argument was never that AARO was lying. His argument was that AARO was being kept in the dark the same way he was. And this is where the story stops being about aliens and starts being about power. Here's something that rarely gets mentioned in these conversations. The United States is not alone in this. In 2023, Mexico's Congress held its own UAP hearing, where journalist and researcher Jaime Maussan presented what he claimed were non-human mummies. That specific claim is highly contested, and you should treat it skeptically. But what's significant is that it happened at all. A national government opened its doors to this conversation publicly. Brazil has maintained UAP investigation files since the 1950s and has declassified portions of them. Peru established a dedicated UAP investigation office in 2023. Japan's defense ministry issued UAP reporting guidelines to its military pilots in 2020. The UK's Ministry of Defense ran a secret UAP program for years before releasing thousands of files in the late 2000s. Every major government, same window of time, all suddenly taking this seriously. You have to ask yourself, what do they know that made this go from fringe to policy in less than a decade? The most charitable explanation is that UAPs represent an unidentified national security threat, whether foreign technology or something else. And governments are finally being transparent about the fact that they don't know what it is. The less charitable explanation is that some of them do know, and the disclosure is being managed carefully, slowly, on someone's timeline, not ours. I want to be honest with you before we wrap up. We don't know if there are alien craft in government hangars. I don't know that. Grusch doesn't know the full picture. Nobody watching this video knows. What we do know is this: a credible intelligence official made a credible claim under oath. The Inspector General agreed it was credible. Multiple senior senators backed it publicly. A disclosure bill was killed at the last minute. A government report came out that multiple insiders say was incomplete. And every major government on Earth quietly started taking this seriously at the same time. That's not nothing. The question you should be asking isn't, are aliens real? That question is designed to make you sound crazy. The real question is, who controls this information? Why have they controlled it for this long? And what would change if the public actually knew? Those are questions about power, about transparency, about who gets to decide what's true. And those questions matter whether the crafts are extraterrestrial, experimental human technology, or something else entirely. This story isn't over. The UAP Disclosure Act is still being fought over in Congress. More whistleblowers have come forward since Grusch. The next hearing could happen any month. If you want to stay ahead of this, not the headlines, the actual developments, subscribe. I'm going to keep covering this as it unfolds, with sources, with context, and without the hype. Drop a comment below with one word, just one that describes how this makes you feel. I read every single one. And if you think someone you know needs to hear this, share it, because that's how stories that powerful people want buried actually survive. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe to Igberaga TV for more declassified breakdowns, UAP updates, and the stories mainstream media won't touch.